here's a question for you. Is marriage overrated?
Why aren't people getting married anymore?
A new Pew Research poll found that 2 in 5 young adults think marriage is an outdated tradition.
Marriage rates are at their lowest right now.
Is marriage really even worth it?
More than half of marriages end in divorce.
If you get married, you have to be stuck with this person for the rest of your life, right? That's why you get married. So that's why it's declining. Why would you get married if you want to have just one partner when you can have multiple?
Marriage is stupid.
Welcome to the Married AF podcast, the self-proclaimed greatest marriage and relationship podcast in the world. We are your hosts, Matthew and Monica Powers. How you doing, baby?
I think I'm okay.
I think you're fantastic. You look incredible.
Well, thank you.
This midday. Not quite morning, not quite afternoon. You look amazing.
Well, thank you.
So, Father's Day passed. We didn't record. We skipped a week.
We did.
But that's okay because it
we
was
also
Father's
had
Day.
A lot
Well, not only was it Father's
that
Day.
weekend.
We celebrated our baby girl turning
digits.
10 years old. And she let us know, hey, it may be Father's Day, but today is my day. She even told me after church, she's like, Daddy, I'm going to pick out what we have for dinner. You can pick out what we have for lunch. I was like, okay, I'll pick out what we have for lunch today. She said, okay, but I just want to eat the leftover pizza we have at home for lunch. Is that okay? I was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. No big deal. We'll take it.
Well, at church, you did the message at church and you were telling everybody, Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. I was waiting for you to say, except me, because I can't have it because I share Father's Day this year with my daughter on her birthday.
I thought about it. I didn't, hilarious. But I thought about it. In retrospect, I probably should have. So
you'd have gotten a lot of sympathy from people. Oh, he doesn't get a Father's Day.
Yep. Yeah, I might have. I might have got a little something extra on that day. But nevertheless, we are here. We are back. We've got scenarios and thoughts and questions and all that fun stuff that people seem to love. But before we dive into that,
you got?
We'll Gen Z Bible it. I just turned it to Ephesians chapter 4. We will start in verse 20. And we'll just go through the end of chapter 4. But y'all ain't learned about Christ that way. If you've heard him and been taught by him, then you know the real deal, the truth that Jesus brings. Leave behind your old messed up ways, that corrupted lifestyle driven by deceitful desires. Let your mind get a fresh start, renewed with a new perspective. Put on the new you, created by God to be righteous and truly holy. So stop lying. Speak the truth to your homies. We're all part of the same crew. It's cool to get angry, but don't let it push you into doing something messed up. Deal with it before the sun goes down, bro. Don't give any room for the devil to mess with you. If you used to steal, cut that out. Get a legit hustle. Work hard with your hands and help those in need. Watch your language, man. Don't let anything corrupt come out of your mouth. Speak words that build up people and show grace. Don't make the Holy Spirit sad, yo. He's got your back until the day you're redeemed. Let go of the bitterness, anger, and all the negative energy. No more shouting or talking trash. Get rid of any ill will. Instead, be kind to one another, show compassion, and forgive each other, just like God forgave you through Jesus. Look at Ephesians chapter 4, throwing it down.
It was dead on.
It actually was dead on. And that wasn't like that far. I like to, get you a legit hustle. But other than that.
Stop stealing. Get a legit hustle.
Got to get that legit hustle. So let's see what people are up to. I got some good ones for you that I think you'll really, really appreciate.
What do you mean people are up to?
Listen, people got struggles in their marriage. They got struggles in their relationships. They don't know what to do. They do dumb things. They say dumb things. And they're lots of confused. So here we go. Things have changed in my marriage. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
I've been married for 6 years. Things were never perfect, but for some reason, now things just feel different. One example is my husband and I, and hold your comments till the end.
Oh, God.
Because you're going to be ready to go. My husband and I never used to block each other's callers or texts. This has changed now, and we do. The thing is, when he does block me, I don't even call or try to reach out. He will tell me later that he blocked me. We get in disagreements about nothing specific, sometimes stupid things. And the one thing that always remained constant is that I'm the one who always has to bend to apologize or act nice. Because I know if I don't, he would never. The older I get, the more time that goes by, I realize that this isn't fair to me. Why don't I deserve someone who calls me and says, hey, I love you, and I'm sorry, I'm upset with you? Why is that person always me? I have a childhood trauma I carry, and he knows the silent treatment is extremely triggering to me, and yet he still started doing it again as a part of the argument. And I ask myself questions like, why do I deserve the treatment? I would never do that to him, and feel like I'm walking on eggshells because I don't want to initiate a silent treatment. I'm rambling, and I guess I'm trying to see if anyone has been in this situation or has advice. We start marriage counseling next week. They block each other's calls or texts. Could you ever imagine us blocking each other's calls or text messages because we're mad about something?
There's only one good thing that came out of everything you just read.
That they're going to counseling next week?
Going to counseling next week.
Well, they clearly need it.
Obviously.
They clearly need it.
They've been married 6 years?
Married for 6 years. And they've started where they block each other's calls.
What happens so irritating to make you want to block?
Well, she even says it's sometimes just dumb little stupid things, which there's probably a whole lot more stuff that's
a
there.
Whole lot more, but I wish I knew how old they were. That has a lot to do with things. I would never imagine putting a block on you.
No.
I mean, in years past, we didn't even know what blocking calls were.
No.
And you would just blow up the phone until I answer if I were not responding or mad to the point where I hung up on you, and you're not going to stop until it's worked out. And I would just not answer the phone.
I'd just be relentless.
Yeah.
But I could even see when we are at our absolute worst, not doing something like that. Just blocking each other's calls. I mean, what are we doing here?
That is definitely a new thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I see high schoolers do that.
Really?
To each other. Constantly. On social media, on phone, texting, all the things. Because when they block that person, they can't see what is happening. Like what the person is doing.
Like for social media, especially.
So when I hear things like that, it makes me think, okay, what are you hiding?
You would think something has to be hidden at this point. But just to block your wife's calls or texts because you got into some sort of stupid little argument?
I hope they're seeing a really good marriage counselor.
I do too. And, she says she has childhood trauma, which I guarantee she's never talked about or tried to get through that at all. But he's definitely got some stuff going on too, I would say. It's great. You're right. The best thing that came out of that, they start marriage counseling next week. So at least they took that step.
Yeah.
At least they took that step.
I don't know how they got to that step when they block each other's phone calls, though.
I'm glad that they're finally there because counseling is a great and wonderful thing that people need that and don't need to let that stigma that kind of can go with it be a problem.
Wow.
So good luck to those. Here's one. My husband flirts unintentionally. Could totally see this. He may just be a super nice guy. My husband and I have a business that we run together for over 2 years. We've been together for a little over 3 years. He has always been a super friendly guy. He's never met a stranger. However, with that, sometimes comes the too friendly for his own good problem. Sometimes he is just being his nice, normal self, but in ways that women take it as flirting. I'm not jealous, but with him, this always seems to be a problem. I usually will express my concern and he understands and we move on. However, there's one employee that he just can't seem to stop being overly friendly with. While I understand he is human and of course he might be attracted to someone else at this point, I expect him to still respect me in our relationship. I've asked him many times to please keep his interactions with her professional because it really bothers me with the way he changes his tone of voice and when he speaks to her, or uses extra emojis while texting her, or leaves smiley faces on work instructions for her. He still continuously does these things that seem a little too friendly with her. At this point, I'm tired of asking. I just feel like nitpicking. What can I do so he understands just how much this bothers me?
Okay, I kind of was with her until he's texting her.
Listen, I read this in like two completely different things. Like at the beginning, he's just a super nice guy. He's intentional with everyone. He takes interest in people, which easily comes off as, oh, he's flirting with me.
That's where I was with her until the texting part, because Matthew Powers, that's you.
Yes, it is. We've talked about this before.
I have to tell you, I don't want you to change you. I wanted you to be aware. Hey,
will you stop flirting with that woman? I'm
never
joking.
said that.
Totally joking. Totally joking.
Because you don't know how to flirt. We know this. You know this.
Yes. I'm like Ross Geller when Ross tries to flirt and how awful it is. That's me. That's me.
But when someone's not getting attention from their spouse or have never had that kind of attention, the way you talk to people makes them feel seen.
Yes.
And most people just want to be seen.
Especially if they're not getting that from home, especially.
Yes. So if they feel seen with you because you are literally looking into their eyes, talking to them, and you genuinely listen to the words that are coming out of their mouth, they're just going to be, oh, man, that Matt Powers, where's he at? I need to talk to him Sunday. I can't wait for Sunday. I have to talk to him. But I'm not a jealous person.
No.
I see it and I laugh hysterically because I don't know that the women that you talk to think that you're flirting with them. They just like the way they're getting your full attention.
Full on attention. And I think there's a lot of
that's mistaken as
flirting. And I think there's men who clearly do. They're just nice people and just care about people and interested. And at first I thought that's where this was going, but whenever the emojis and the texting,
why is he
and
texting
leaving
her?
notes, and that's not. Now if he's texting her for work related stuff,
Strictly work.
Okay, I can see where just say individual text will happen, but if it's constant work stuff, it needs to be everyone involved.
But you're texting emojis to her?
No.
That's not work.
I'm not an emoji guy ever. I don't know that I've ever texted an emoji ever to anyone. Now, I'll do the funny little pictures things.
Yeah,
but I don't know if I've ever done like a smiley face emoji or anything like that.
No.
It's not my thing. I'm not an emoji guy.
Or the abbreviation guy.
LOL.
Yeah, lol.
Lol. Oh, lol. Good old lol. But how do you have this conversation? You need to really let him know how much this bothers you and how badly it is and what a bad look this is. You texting and I can constitute that as flirting just a little bit.
That's a bit more than paying attention.
And especially it's beginning to break the trust in your marriage, which is not only are you married, but you also have a business together. Those are two huge things, but it's breaking the trust in your marriage, and you should never do anything that could potentially break that trust.
So she said that they've been married
for 3 years.
3 years.
Doing this business for just over 2. They're 30 and 31.
Ooh, good for them.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, like, we have a business.
Yep.
I don't work at the business, but I know the business. I know the people.
Yep.
I wouldn't know how you would treat someone else unless I were there.
Right.
But I don't have I have zero mindset that you're intentionally flirting.
Oh, no. Because like I said, I don't know how to do that.
Exactly.
It's not in my bones.
It would be
how I landed you. Who knows?
Anyways.
It was an act of God.
We were 15, Matthew. Okay.
Still.
I could not. You can't change the way the other person feels or sees like you in the conversation. But if you started this business together and they work together, were you not in that hiring process? And
should have been.
You've only been married for 3 years. That was a big jump to jump straight into a business when the business has only been 2.5 years. I understand that when opportunities arise,
and
you
honestly,
go for it.
Good for you guys.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But my question is, how long did you date? Was this something that he did prior?
And you just kind of came into it? Or something you did prior and he came into?
Or is this how he landed you?
Maybe.
See, there's things that we don't necessarily know all the answers to, but I see where she gets upset because the texting is not okay. The emoji, that's just a little awkward.
Yeah, well, and even leaving smiley faces on instructions and notes, that's overboard. I wouldn't say he unintentionally is doing it. I say he totally knows that he is doing it. And
she said that she had talked to him about it. She's asked him to stop.
Yes. And it continues. Says he just seems to be a little too friendly with her. You gotta have the real conversation.
You have to have the conversation. Obviously, she has. If she really has, and put her foot down, I don't want to give. Listen. Don't take my advice, but if I had this was us, and I had this conversation with you, and you continue to do it, and not care about anything that I have said, I'm going to give you a little taste of your own medicine.
Oh, snap.
Because if you aren't seeing what I'm seeing, what's happening, I'm going to let you see it this way.
Listen, that could be an effective method.
Kind of like a reverse psychology kind of thing.
Like, okay, you don't see this. I'm going to
show you.
I'm going to flirt the pants off of this guy.
Wait till I text this guy over here. Hard eyes. You know?
Exactly. You got to talk to him, or you want to end this? Fire her. She's gone. Fire her. Obviously, that's not the right thing to do. We're cutting you down to
part-time until my husband stops flirting with you.
Fire her. Don't actually fire her. Talk to your husband about it, or the Monica method could work there. Just let him see. All right, two can play at this game, and maybe open up his eyes.
Because most guys, if they don't see what their issue is, because it's okay for him to do it, but it's not. Heaven forbid his wife do it. No other man better look at his wife.
Yeah, he's going to get jealous really, really quickly.
Exactly.
Because men are far more jealous than women whenever it comes to that.
Absolutely.
Like so territorial and so jealous. I mean, we experienced it in our 20s, and we'd be out somewhere, and the fights of you looking at my girls. Like, come on, are you serious right now? I mean, your girl is wearing a mini dress. If she bends over, it's all hanging out. Her boobs are out. Of course, people are looking at her.
It's a train wreck. You can't take your eyes off of it.
But we're gonna fight because you won't stop looking at my girl. So listen, that could be a way. Fire her, but I would recommend just you really need to let him know and set some groundwork down. All right, next one. How do you deal with cussing and your kids? I'm much more strict about cussing for myself. I didn't grow up in a household that used that type of language, and I don't use that language at my work. My husband is in landscaping, so he tends to curse like a sailor. He also grew up around hardened people who use that language. Despite my continued issues with him, with it being used around the house, it has shown up on our kids' shows on YouTube, which is just twisted. Now my 7-year-old has started to use bad language more regularly. I would say within the last month has been a real big issue for me. Before that, he barely let something slip at all. I've fought all the battles, both with my husband and with YouTube. He seems to be split between crying with a tender heart when he gets in trouble about it and then laughing about it, the 7-year-old. I've had good conversations with my son to try and give him the tools to combat this, consequences, but also letting him know that this is adult language. He needs to speak like a kid and choose to speak using the millions of words out there that aren't bad words. It's a battle that I don't want to keep having to fight, but I will. I am, however, feeling defeated and frustrated. I think my husband finally understands that our son is trying to be cool like his dad, so I think he will be more careful. But he doesn't have to directly deal with things like what happened yesterday with our son said something at summer camp, and I had to be the one to deal with it. Like, there is no way to force myself out of the situation so that he gets the full brunt of it. We're born-again Christian parents who curse little, but we're trying to be better, trying to teach our children to be better. Please don't comment if there's nothing constructive to say. So how do you deal with cussing children? Seven years old is quite young for it to be a regular type of thing. Now, our daughters let words slip before. And
she was way before 7.
And it's hard not to laugh. But I think we do a pretty good job of not seeing that type of language used.
Listen, I cuss. So what? I don't cuss at people. I typically don't try to cuss around the kids. I see all the sides to this.
Yep.
Because our kids learned cuss words from riding the bus.
Riding the bus in school regularly. And I will say, especially for our son who is around it and it's every word, I feel like, at least around us, he doesn't let things slip. He has before.
He has.
But it's not a regular occurrence. It's not a daily occurrence. And boy, when he has, it has devastated him. But I think, as in this situation, your kids learn from you.
Essentially.
So if you're doing this, and your husband especially is doing this, yes, your kids are going to pick that up. YouTube is the worst.
It's just...
There's no regulation to it. You can get down a rabbit hole so quickly. Your kids
Even the YouTube Kids thing.
Yes, you can. We tried that.
We had to get rid of that as well.
And it just didn't, you can't regulate it.
I understand the part where the kid thinks saying it is being cool.
Yes.
Because all the other kids are saying it constantly. Even at a high school level, you literally cannot walk down the hall without hearing every other word being a cuss word.
Yes.
I'm serious. Because was it November we went to Universal?
Yes.
It was like Thanksgiving break.
Yep.
We were going and we walked by this group of teenage kids and the F-bomb slipped. And I said, man, you know what? That's the first one I have heard on this trip. It has been so nice. But then it takes you right back into that mindset. But at the same time, I can see if you're trying to work on it with your kids. Like when we went to Boston with Cash the first time.
Oh my goodness, yes. Everywhere, especially at the baseball game.
But we were warning him. Now, he is a child that rides the bus, so he hears it. He knows the words. Our thing was, we don't say it. But when somebody else says it, don't look at us and be all, oh, they said this.
Just blow it off.
Don't even bring attention to it. Because when you bring attention to it, it's going to make it even worse. I understand, like, you just literally read Ephesians from
yes,
the
perverse
thing.
language.
Talk about perverse language. Now, maybe this is, I know that the Bible is very black and white. I don't think it goes into much detail on that. When I hear that, I think of mostly sexual stuff, being a pervert.
Yes. Yep.
The way you say things can be completely different, even if you use a cuss word. I mean, the Bible literally has hell, ass, damn, Yeah,
it's a lot in the context in which you use
it's
things.
how you say it. It's the way your heart says it.
Plus, cuss words are just...
They're all words. Take a book from Thor.
All words are made up.
All words are made
all
up.
words are made up.
All words are made up.
It's they're definitely going to learn from the people they're around the most. So you just have to control it at home.
Well, I also don't agree that it's just an adult thing.
No.
Kids can't say those words because they're not adults. Where's the law on that?
No,
there's a law for alcohol, cigarettes, tobacco, vaping, that kind of stuff. But there's not a law against words. There's literally freedom of speech.
Well, my thought is always...
But we've all had these, the Christian people, this is how we all get that bad rap of, we can't cuss around Christians, until somebody they don't know that you're a pastor and they're just cussing up a storm and then they find out what you do. Like, I'm so sorry.
I don't normally, how many times I've heard like, I don't normally talk like that. I'm like,
wrong.
You don't have to change who you are because I'm around.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is the same thing kids, I don't think it's just, I think they're just words.
They are just words. And
They are learned from parents. They're learned from whatever you give them. But I can guarantee you, with a child, every child that has a phone, compared to all the kids that do not, our kids do not, being the parents that don't allow that and seeing the kids that do, they grow up faster because they're around all of the things that they don't need. They got social media. They don't need it. You give your kids what they need. Taking all those kind of things away from them, I don't care that their friends have them. Our kids don't use that language.
No, and it's our job.
Even though that they hear it.
It's our job to be the parents. Mm-hmm. And the kids don't always have to like it, but we're there to teach them and mold them into good, productive beings of society. And that's what we are here to do. It's, you know, we have this culture now where, you know, kids can decide that, oh, I'm going to change my sex. I'm now no longer a boy, I'm now a girl, or I'm no longer either one of those, I'm now a cat. And I think we've been lost where people need to be told no. It's the same reason why
Let's not offend anybody.
Same reason why when you have a baby, you baby proof the house. You keep the doors closed. You have the gates up. You put the little things in the plugs and the outlets so they don't stick their finger in. If we operate by this mentality where we're all free to make our own choices, then why even have parents around? Yeah, kid, go ahead and stick a knife into the outlet. Let's see how that works for you. No, you protect them. You know better than they are. You've had more experiences than they are.
You're supposed to know better.
And when it comes to adult language, my thought is with cussing, we'll say, or those words, it shows a lack of intelligence to me. That you do not have... Your vocabulary is so narrow that that's the only thing that you can say. And you can't formulate a thought or a sentence without interjecting those words because you're trying to think of something to say. It just shows a lack of intelligence and a lack of want to try and be better whenever I hear that.
For me, those kind of cuss words are the words like when they're used in...
Like when we try to have a conversation and something like that. Exactly.
If it's not used as a simile or a comparison.
I like pizza.
That's
something completely different.
Acceptable.
Exactly.
Then there's and
all of that.
Those, I would rather hear cuss words than those words because
at least it's a word that's coming out. At least you thought
about a word coming out of your mouth and you can't form a complete sentence because you have no idea what you're saying.
It's again, lead by example. And it sounds like your husband's on the path with you, so that's good news. Last one here for you and you only. I thought this would be fun for you because you hate to admit this, and you're kind of this anyway. I'm reaching out as a fairly new pastor's wife.
Oh boy.
And I could really use some advice and support from those who have been in my shoes. My husband recently took a pastoral role, and I'm so proud of him. And I'm finding this new life pretty overwhelming. There's so many expectations and pressures that come with this role, and I often feel like I'm stumbling through it all. From dealing with church politics to balancing my personal life and supporting my husband, it's been quite a ride. I'm not sure I'm alone in feeling this way. I'd love to hear how people do it. Are there any horror stories that you experience as a pastor's wife? What do you do? How do you handle them? What do you learn from those situations? Now, we've struggled with this. Now, we have a business. I have a regular job. But I do serve as a teaching pastor, and you have been called a pastor's wife, something you have struggled with. So, how do you do it?
I'm just going to be honest. I am not a pastor's wife.
Yet you are. You've been introduced this way. It makes you send shivers up your spine. But you have been, and you've somewhat began to accept this. So how does one do it?
Because your husband's a pastor? Oh.
Because I do think this is something wives especially struggle with, because there is this stigma in this. idea of what a pastor's wife is supposed to be. She's supposed to always be by his side and look a certain way and dress a certain way and say certain things and do certain things and be organizers of certain things and be with the kids and do this and do that, which isn't necessarily the case.
She's perfect in every single way.
So what would you tell them? Be who you are?
Yes. Just because he has the pastor behind his name now doesn't mean you have to change who you are. Because you're a pastor, am I going to change who I am when it comes to September 1st? No. Our house will be decked out in all Halloween. All Hallows Eve. That's the devil's holiday. Pastors' wives cannot have anything to do with Halloween. Baby, September 1st is a national holiday at this house.
Yes,
the inside of our house is decked out. October 1st, the outside of our house is decked out. On October 31st, I am standing in our driveway scaring the piss out of little kids and their parents. Am I going to change that because you are a pastor?
No, you're not. And I think that's the advice. Be you, be who you are, be who your husband married, because that's all he wants. And hopefully your husband is supportive enough to say, I don't expect anything out of you. I expect you to be my wife, and that's it. Don't change who you are. Love people. Just love people. Be there for people, but be yourself.
Because he did not take this role to change you.
No, he took this role to do what God has called him to do. And you are there to support him. Not everyone else, but him. Your marriage comes first.
Learn that if you think you have to answer everyone's stuff when they want, oh, well, the pastor's wife has any answers to this. Not everyone's emergency is your emergency.
Very true.
Make sure your priorities are in order. God, your husband, your kids if you have any, the church, everything else.
Well said.
I still think I have my priorities right, but I still do get a little irritated when I hear, oh, this is the pastor's wife. What?
Yeah, you're still trying to figure that one out. You're struggling with that just a little bit.
This is my smile when they do that.
You just smile your way through it the best you can.
Oh, I'm trying not to throw up right now. But I also do, I don't know, for me, yes, you have the teaching pastor title, but you're still my husband.
Yeah.
You're my husband before you're that pastor. But I also have pastors' wives that are my friends outside of the church. We were friends before we were all pastors' wives kind of thing.
And
they're not going to change. They don't change who they are.
They operate the same way. They are who they are. Mm-hmm. And their husbands told I don't want you to be anything. I want you to be you. Mm-hmm. And they are their husbands' wives and support them, and their husbands support, they lay out a very good foundation of what being a pastor's wife should look like, because they are authentic in who they are, which is what we are supposed to do. And they use their talents and gifts as God has instructed them to, and they're not being a particular mold of what culture says they should be.
If I want to have pink hair, I can have pink hair.
You've had a lot of different colors.
I think I've had just about every single color.
Almost all of them.
But it's whatever. It's not because, I can't do that because my husband's a pastor. I have skulls everywhere.
Yeah, they're all over this office.
In our house. Some people walk in and go, oh, you're still
you
decorated
get take down from Halloween?
You said, what? Those are not Halloween decorations.
These are just decorations. All right, y'all? So be yourself, be who you are, be your husband's wife.
Just expect to have
everything else.
Your full life spread out for everyone to see in a message.
Very true. Let's get out of here. God, we love you. We are so thankful for what you do. We're thankful for this platform. We're thankful for our marriage that you've given us. We just pray that this helps people, that people who need to hear it are able to hear it, and you will just work through us in every way possible. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Play ball.